I witnessed a few things in Aden. First of all, Aden is stable and secure. There's absolutely no reason why the United States Embassy to Yemen shouldn't be in Yemen. It makes much more sense to have the United States Embassy in Aden than it does to have it in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, for example. When it comes to the security in not only Aden, but I was also in Abyan, I was in Shabwa, I was in Lahij as well. You've got a situation where southern Yemen is able to govern itself securely. I drove from Aden, for example, to Atak in Shabwa without a problem. Now, what I see is the Presidential Leadership Council, first being dysfunctional, second, frankly, being corrupt, and third, working at cross purposes. First of all, no one should be in the Presidential Leadership Council who does not base themselves in Yemen. To have so much money siphoned off to support ministers living in Cairo or Riyadh is criminal. Second of all, only those who actually govern territory should be part of any sort of leadership council. Otherwise, they're just existing to play games and undermine the actual governance. Too often, those groups in the Presidential Leadership Council seem much more interested in undermining their rivals. For example, ISLA would undermine the Southern Transitional Council rather than defeating the Houthis. So ultimately, what I would suggest, after talking to many different Yemenis, would be you have a president who is a figurehead, not unlike what we see in Iraq or in India. And then you have the southern Yemenis govern themselves without northern interference, and the northern Yemenis govern themselves without southern interference. But living in Aden, where it's 43, 44 degrees and humid, you have lots of oil stored in the oil tanks. And yet, some northern politician decides that the southerners shouldn't be able to sell the oil in order to power their generators. You have the cell phone network controlled not only by northerners, but frankly by the Houthis. But you have the Minister of Telecommunications not allowing the South to develop its own cell phone network. And you know what? The Houthis are already setting Yemen down the path of division. How else can you explain the minting of 50 real coins, for example, that are only going to be accepted in Houthi areas, but are never going to be accepted in the South?